The questions you've all been asking are now being answered. Welcome to another edition of It's All About Who You Know, where influential people talk about sports, faith, and more. Your host is a former Oregon State wrestler, an MMA fighter, and a wrestling coach. Brought to you from Las Vegas, Nevada, here's your host, Christian Robertson.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, cool. Trent Miller, what's up, buddy?
It's going, Christian. I'm glad
Dude.
to be here.
Dude, I'm glad to have you here. Michelle, you getting good video? Okay, I'm going to break the fourth wall real quick and bring you into it. So, okay, so you had a pretty big meeting today.
Yeah, man. I just had an interview for The Ultimate Fighter.
How was
That
it?
was exciting. It was good. It was shorter than I expected, only 15 minutes, but it seemed like the guys liked me. It seems like I might be making an appearance on this next season Ultimate Fighter. That's exciting.
You think so?
I think so. I think I'm going to win this whole thing and be in the UFC in a few months. We'll see.
There we go. There we go. Well, now it'll be 185, 205. What are they? Because the Ultimate Fighter, they usually do guys bump up a weight class, but not at the upper weights.
This would be at middleweight. So
okay.
It's 85, and I can't remember for sure, but I think the other weight class is featherweight.
Okay, so they're doing two weight classes this go.
Yeah.
Now, have they announced the coaches yet?
They have not, so I have no idea.
Okay. Now I've got to ask, what kind of questions do they even ask in the interview?
I mean, they asked me a little bit about fighting at first, barely, just like, oh, so your record's 5-0. You just fought recently and you won. That's awesome. They didn't really ask too much about that. It was mainly like, what was your childhood like? What was what made you become a fighter? What made you decide that you wanted to fight?
Mm-hmm.
They also were intrigued by the fact that I was a straight A student, salutatorian in high school, and then now I work for Chippendales and fight MMA.
I was going to ask you about being a go-go dancer and what that's like.
Well, considering I don't have to dance and I leave my pants on, it's, you know, it's mainly just talking to tourists and taking photos with them.
Okay.
It can be exciting, though. It can be interesting. It depends on the people. You know, you meet people from all over the world. So I get a wide variety of different personalities and cultures in there.
Right. So, okay. So with the Ultimate, it seems like with the Ultimate Fighter, because you said they didn't even talk about your fighting. Like they've probably seen you fight. They're probably like, you know, this is reality TV. What was your takeaway from the whole thing? Like, did you feel like you did a good job? Did you feel like 15 minutes? Like, you think everybody capped off at 15 minutes? How does that work?
You know, it's hard to say. I feel like I did a good job. Like, they sounded like they were going to move me to the next round of interviews.
Okay.
Because they pretty much said, we'll probably interview you again in late January. So I don't think they would tell me that if they weren't planning on moving me along. I think they would have just ended the call. So I think it went well. And I do think their questions were more towards like childhood and background, because they probably want to find people that are going to have some type of drama added to the show. I mean, at the end of the day, it is reality TV.
Right.
If my background was too clean, they probably wouldn't want me.
Right. Now, how does your wife feel about that? Because it's like 2 or 3 months in the house?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay. You're in the house. You can't communicate with anyone, right? Is that how it is now? Is it still like that? Because I had Ryder on here, and when he did it, like, you couldn't do anything. Like, the only thing you could bring was like a Bible.
Yeah, so it's 6 weeks, no outside communication. I believe like from the seasons I've watched in the past, they let people like do like one video call at some point during the season.
Yeah.
And they also let you write letters.
Okay.
But yes, my wife has mixed feelings about it. She doesn't want me to really be away for that long.
Right.
But she also said, on the bright side, I'll have less dishes and cooking to do. So, you know, she's happy about that.
What? I've always wondered when people go on reality TV, because they don't pay everyone's rent. Like, how does that work? Because you think like these fighters probably like a paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard other fighters talk about it, because
I guess I should ask Ryder.
I briefly heard Julian Erosa say something about it, because he was on The Ultimate Fighter too.
Yeah.
and I think he said he got paid like 8,000 or something.
Oh,
But
for the whole
for the
time?
whole show.
Oh, so you do get paid the whole time.
But I'm not 100% sure. I could be misremembering what exact number he said, but he did get paid to be on the show.
Really?
And then,
Okay.
like, assuming you fight in the finale that's on an actual UFC card,
Yeah.
obviously you're
You
getting
get
paid.
you get paid UFC
Yeah.
dollars there. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, that would be because like if you go on and it's like 6 weeks and you're not getting any paycheck, like that obviously isn't going to work out. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
way they could. Yeah, so it must be okay. Yeah, so it must be like a situation where they pay for like basic expenses and everything while you're at home.
Yeah, I would think so. They're giving you something to be
Yeah.
on there.
Now, do you know anything about the people that one interviewed you or the other people that they interviewed?
I mean, I know uh my manager, Roman, had a few other guys that were getting interviewed for the show. One
Okay.
other guy at my weight class.
Okay.
Uh, so it could be potentially that we end up fighting each other if we both get on the show. So
Yeah.
that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, apparently Roman specifically asked them though, like if we're both on the show to let us like somehow make it so we are on different if we're in the opposite team that we're not fighting till the end.
Gotcha. Just put you like complete opposite sides
Yeah,
of the
but you
bracket.
know, he probably has little control over that. So we could end up being the first fight on the show if we both get on there. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. No, that's a weird spot because you think about like I remember Ryder, I think he won, I think he had to fight to get in the house and then he lost his first fight. So he's like there for 5 weeks and didn't end up, like you're 5 weeks and it's like you're obviously you're training, but you're not training for anything. You got to keep your mouth shut. It's just it's a weird process being on the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, I hope I get on there though, and I look forward to it because I think of it as like 6 weeks of like dedicated training, like six
Yeah.
week training camp. I mean,
Yeah.
plus you get a few fights in between, like that experience is so valuable.
Yeah.
Like I can't all the training I've done between my fights, like each fight in itself is its own learning experience, you
Right.
know? Like professional boxers or more Thai fighters, you think about how many fights they have, like
Right.
they try to line up fights back to back weeks sometimes if
Right.
they're healthy because that experience is so valuable. It's
Right.
hard to replicate that in the gym, even when you have hard sparring. It's not the same as like having that actual fight experience.
Well, like in wrestling too, like we always told our kids, like you've got to go, excuse me, you got to go wrestle. Like you can't just be like a practice room guy. Like you've got to go work it out and like you got to go figure things out because there's a certain level of fatigue that you won't hit in the practice room. And it's no matter like how hard you go, like how hard you train, like how tough you are.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that will simulate like going and wrestling 5 matches in a day. Like there's just nothing. Like your
100%.
forearms, like my forearms never got tired at practice, but a minute into every match, my forearms would just get smashed because it's like you're gripping, you're trying to hold guys.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get like so much anxiety and so much adrenaline that you're like doing it too hard and you just like you basically blow your wad. Like that's what we say. Like you blow your wad and it's just you're just shot. Like you can't do anything.
100%. I mean, I've experienced that adrenaline dump and like using too much energy too quick in when I wrestled and then also in MMA fights.
Yeah.
My second amateur fight, because my first one went so quick and I knocked him out, or well, I got a guillotine. It could have been a TKO if I would have followed up with punches, but I followed up with a choke. But I won that in 20 seconds without getting hit. So my second one, I was like, I'm gonna do the same thing.
Right.
Out there swinging for the fences, but he ate everything I threw at him and then kept going. And I just was so tired by the end of it. Like I could barely hold my arms up. Like I've been gassed in training to where I feel like I don't have anything left, but I literally had nothing left when that fight was over.
This was your second
amateur fight.
Okay.
So that one's on YouTube if anyone's interested in watching it. If you just look up Trent Miller MMA, like you will see that one. And it was a pretty good fight, bloody,
Yeah.
back and forth war.
So are you gonna start a YouTube channel?
I mean, I have my channel. I just haven't started uploading consistent videos. I want to start doing that though.
Dude.
I definitely want to start posting some technique videos, maybe break down more like what my training camps are like leading up to fights.
Yeah. Well, that would be cool if you did like a leading up to the Ultimate Fighter house and then like, everybody sees you on the Ultimate Fighter. So like let's say you do like a vlog series or like a technique series or something leading up to it and then you get in the house and everybody sees you while you're in the house. Can you film? You can't bring a camera or anything, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure about
like
that.
imagine like I wonder if they would let guys like vlog. Obviously you can't like edit or anything, but like
yeah, I can't post it while I'm there, but maybe I can record stuff while I'm there.
Yeah, I doubt it. I guarantee you can't, because then that's just like so much, because the coaches get their training camp in too, and it's like, what can you? Yeah, I doubt it, but
I don't know. It wouldn't hurt to ask though.
it would not hurt to ask, and especially now, like in the social media age, like everybody's trying to monetize themselves, and probably 50% of fighters have a YouTube channel. But yeah, no, I think you could do it. So but I was saying, like, you do everything leading up, and then people don't see you for a long time. You start talking about the Ultimate Fighter, then they see you on the Ultimate Fighter, so it just builds, like you're already getting, traction with your YouTube channel, and then it just builds after that. That might be
That'd be
something.
awesome.
That might be something to think about. I don't
That
know.
way I get that initial like decent following on the
Well, yeah, even if you only have like a couple hundred subscribers, at least if you have that channel, and then people can go back and look like, oh, he made vlogs like leading up to the Ultimate Fighter house. Like, let's go check these out. And then they see you on the Ultimate Fighter, and then people that are watching the Ultimate Fighter have some place to go watch you. And it's just like this. I don't know. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it kind of builds off each other. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it depends on what you want to do with your channel, though. Like if you're looking to do technique or vlogs, because some of that stuff you kind of have to niche down a little bit. Not
Yeah.
always, but like it's really hard for YouTube to promote a channel that's doing like MMA technique and doing like vlogs.
For sure.
It's weird. The algorithm is weird because I was doing that for a little bit. Like I was doing my podcast and my vlogs on the same channel, and it just wasn't getting like, you'd get like 4 or 5,000 views on a vlog, and then like 10 views on a podcast, because that's not what people came here for. And then the next vlog you put out, YouTube's like, well, we don't really know what your channel is, so we're not really promoting it that much because the last video didn't do well. It's a weird thing. So yeah,
So it's one of those things where maybe you got to make separate channels and then connect them to each other.
well, that's what I had to do. So now I have the podcast channel, the vlog channel, which sometimes I post podcast clips just so it gets more traction. And then now, which you've been helping me out with, and actually I want to talk about that too because it's been cool. But the Strictly Wrestling channel, which like the last 2 days is like been not blowing up, but I've gotten like 100 and something subscribers in the last like 2 or 3 days. Yeah, it was at like 80, and then the last 2 days it's at, I think now I just looked at it, was like 220. So that's been a big help. Yeah,
Glad
but
I
like
help out with that.
no, it's been cool. It's just like it's been like really consistent. So okay, so you were at the PI earlier?
I was at the PI yesterday.
Okay,
I'm gonna
what-
go back there today though.
Okay, so what happened? So you were working with
So I've actually helped her with a couple videos now. Nina Drama,
okay.
who is now a popular UFC personality, and
I don't know. I've seen like thumbnails with her and Sean, but I don't know what she does.
I mean, she basically is kind of like a reporter, kind of like Laura Senko or any of those other
Oh, maybe like a Helen Yee type or something
yeah,
like that.
just like
But
kind of like that. But
interacts with the
her
fighters.
interviews are a little bit different in the sense of like I feel like they're more less about fighting and more about learning who the fighters are, kind of.
Okay.
So she hasn't done any interviews with me yet because she only really does that with the UFC fighters. But I've helped her do a couple different clips for like I was in, if you look on her Instagram, I was in a couple clips with DraftKings and her that she
Okay.
promoted.
Okay.
So I did those.
Can you pull that camera a little closer to your face?
Or the mic.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
mic. That's what I
Gotcha.
mean. Yeah.
But I was in a couple videos like that on her Instagram. You can't even see my face in one of them though, because like I'm wearing a wig and I'm wearing a like a sports bra because I'm supposed to be a woman MMA fighter.
Oh, so
Yeah.
like making fun of that whole, was it like making fun of the trans issue or
No,
Oh, okay,
it's
gotcha.
supposed to be like she basically is getting into a fight with some woman that's just ridiculously like jacked out of her mind.
Oh, gotcha.
And then they just did another one yesterday I was helping them with, and it was for to promote the new UFC video game. So we filmed for that, but then they realized they wanted to get some different content that we didn't film yesterday. So I have to go back today after this to go help them finish that up.
Now, how'd you make that connection?
Roman, my manager, set it up. I don't know. I guess she reached out to Extreme one day and was like, I need a fighter to help me film content. And
Were they just looking for like somebody that was super jacked, or
I think that was part of it.
okay, like someone that has like
Yeah.
okay, like a bigger frame?
Yeah, I think that definitely helped. They wanted someone that looked fit, and
Okay.
I guess I don't know if I would say like a fighter because lots of fighters look so different, but
Right.
I don't know. I guess on video it helps to have very muscular physique. It makes it look better.
Gotcha.
So they wanted, I don't know, they wanted me.
That's cool.
So I've helped a few videos now, and it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's really funny, honestly. Like yesterday's video, I was also wearing a wig and the sports bra and stuff. It's really funny. There's so many fighters at the UFC PI yesterday, like different people that are in the UFC training, walking by the octagon while we're filming this, looking at me ridiculous.
When was this?
This was just yesterday.
No, I mean, what time? Because I was at the PI yesterday too.
Oh, were you? Oh,
Yeah.
you were there? Yeah, you trained wrestling like in the morning kind of though, huh?
Yeah, 11. So
yeah, we were
Strickland
there
has his
at like
practice then.
6.
Oh, you were there at
8.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do a lot of content stuff. There was a few other people like in the octagon and stuff working and doing stuff. And I'm just like, is this like the only time you're ever going to do jujitsu? Like, it was just one of those things. You're just like, what are they doing over there? But yeah, I don't know.
It's been fun though. It's real funny doing that content.
What, how long has that been going on? Or how long you been helping her out with her stuff?
I mean, I only did 2 videos before this last one, so this is my 3rd time helping do any of that.
Does she have a big production team? Or is it just like
it's like her boyfriend and her boyfriend's mom and one other person.
Oh, really? They
I
got
don't know
everybody.
what the relation is. Yeah.
Gotcha. You ever train at the PI?
I've trained there a few times actually. When I wrestled at UNLV too, one time we did like a kids wrestling camp that we helped coach at the PI. So that was pretty cool. That was the first time I ever went. That was, damn, I was 21 or 22. So that was like 6-7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
The first time I went to the PI.
So you've been fighting, because you had like 6 fights this year, didn't you? Did you have your
5?
You had 5 fights this year.
My first pro fight was last December.
Okay.
And then I fought in February, and then I did September, November, and then December.
All finishes?
Yeah, all first round finishes. 4 knockouts, 1 submission.
And you just fought last Saturday?
On Friday, yeah.
Yeah, and first round finish, right?
Yeah.
Guillotine?
Yep, it was a guillotine. I thought I was gonna win that fight by knockout. So did everyone else online too. Like if you go on Tapology and you see
that was the odds.
Like everyone voted. I think it was like 360 people voted, and I was on there like a favorite by like 80 something %. But everyone voted that either me or him were gonna knock each other out. And then there was like 1 or 2 people that picked that I was gonna win by submission.
That guy's not a couture guy, is he?
That you fought? No.
What's his name? Tall black guy, right?
Oh, I would never be able to pronounce it, man.
Oh, he's got like a long African name, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Osayaman, something.
Where's he from?
I don't know where his nationality is exactly, but he fights out of California.
Wasn't there something on like MMA Junkie, some article? I don't know if you looked it up, but I think I looked it up. Didn't he get like kicked out of his old gym or something? They were like, there was an expose on that.
I did see something about that, but I don't know the details.
Okay. I think, crap, I'm trying to remember now because I was trying to remember which guy you fought. Because I wasn't able to watch it. I had to work, but I think what happened was I think got kicked out of his old gym for like not training consistently or something. And the coach was like, yeah, this isn't going to work out. And he said it was like the best thing that ever happened to him. I don't know.
I read that actually too.
Really?
I did see that when I was looking into him before we fought. And I don't know all the details. I don't know why I got kicked out or whatever, but he did say something about like going to this new gym after getting kicked out, renewed some type of love for training that he had and made it more consistent and better. And he was good. I mean, he was a strong fighter. Like that fight was tough. I was really frustrated early on because it was so hard to close that distance because I'm 5'11", he's 6'4".
Yeah.
And he had a crazy reach. And every time I blocked one of his kicks, like I wanted to counter and close that distance, but every time I blocked a kick, it felt like he was so far away that I had no chance of touching him.
Oh, really?
And it was really frustrating. It took me about a minute and a half into the fight before I really started to be able to connect any shots. But once I did hit him a couple times, I think he felt that I had enough power in my hands to take him out. So he was like, I need to shoot. And
that's what happened. So he tried to wrestle with you.
Yeah.
Now, so like I said, I haven't seen it. When you went for the guillotine, did you fall back or did you do a standing guillotine? How'd you get it?
So he shot a double leg off of a combo I threw. I stepped in and threw a cross and an uppercut. The uppercut missed so barely too when he tried to level change.
Oh, really?
Like I
would have smoked him if you hit
still
it.
frame photo of it, and my hand is literally like up against the side of his head because I just barely missed it. And yeah, I wish that would have hit because that probably would have been a knockout. But I missed that. And then he lifted me in the air with the double leg. Actually, I was like up on his shoulders. And I just felt his neck there. And I grabbed the arm in guillotine. I grabbed his arm and his head
Oh no.
and snatched it up. And then I locked my legs around him and basically pulled guard with it because I just knew I had it.
You
once
had
I
it. Yeah.
grabbed it.
There was no point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I grabbed it, made sure I got my guard locked so that way he couldn't like hop to side control or anything, get out of it. And yeah, he was in. He tried to put his hand over my face and like
Mhm.
he actually almost like scratched my face a little bit. I have a couple little scabs on my eyebrow and like under my eye because
Yeah.
his nails like scratched me, trying to like push me off of it.
Oh geez. Were they a little
And
long? His
I
nail?
don't know if they were long,
Yeah.
but like
'Cause they usually
literally the
they
ref tried to
also
like smack his hand off my face because he was like on
he's
my
just
almost
clawing you.
eye gouging me, trying to get my head
Jeez.
off of him or trying to get me off of him when I was choking him. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it didn't matter though. Once I had it in, I was like, I'm squeezing until this guy's out.
Now, do you think you'll try to fight again before you get word on tough, or are you going to try just wait until they say something?
You know, Roman said he wants to get me another short notice fight, maybe for January if possible.
Oh, really?
So it is possible. Like literally after that last fight for
Yeah.
LFA, like the next day, Roman said he had so many fight offers for me.
Oh, really? What did LFA
Yeah.
say? Did they offer you anything?
LFA wanted to sign me to a contract,
Oh, okay.
but Roman didn't want me to do that. He
Okay.
said because assuming I did that, if I did sign, like, let's say I had
You're
a
stuck.
fight contract with LFA.
Yeah, you're stuck.
Yeah, I'm stuck. I wouldn't have been able to audition for the Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, you wouldn't even be able to audition.
Yeah, literally in the paperwork for the Ultimate Fighter, they asked, like,
Are you under
are you under
contract?
contract with any organizations?
Oh.
How many fights do you have left? Like,
Oh, so that's probably why it's best to wait until you're under contract with like, because if you sign a 3-fight deal, like let's say the UFC wants you after your next fight, or
yeah,
you know, like something happens, it's like, no, you're under contract. You can't break that agreement, right?
exactly.
Oh, shoot.
So, like,
That's great. Because especially with us in Vegas and you being close to weight, like that could happen. Like you're 5-0, you know, the UFC could say, hey, we had an undercard guy pull out.
yeah,
Can,
they
you know,
could
can,
potentially call me in even before the Ultimate Fighter starts up, and I could do that. Like,
yeah. Well, they always call Couture. Like that's
Yeah.
probably the first number they call if somebody in Vegas misses weight. It's like, hey, do you have anybody not under contract with someone for, oh shoot, I haven't even thought about that. That's kind of crazy.
yeah, so that's an option, man. That could happen in the next few months. That'd be crazy.
Why'd you end up taking 5 fights this year?
You know, the goal was originally 4.
Okay.
And then I fought December, I fought February, and then I had a couple injuries leading up to that fight in February and then afterwards too. And I took a little bit of time off to kind of heal those up. And I was like, damn, I might not fight again this year. Like, I honestly wasn't sure if I'd get one more fight this year or
Yeah.
what. And then I fought in September, had a knockout in 40 seconds, didn't get hurt. And I was like, I'm healthy. I might as well fight again soon. Had that fight very beginning of November, got a knockout in the first punch. I'm like, I'm healthy. Might as well fight again
Was
soon.
it like 16 seconds or something like that?
Yeah, that one was like 16. So I had a 40-second knockout, then a 16-second the next month. So I'm like, might as well fight again ASAP, like,
Right.
you know, while I'm healthy. And then got that fight lined up last week. And yeah, I mean, as long as I'm healthy, I want to fight as much as possible.
Yeah.
You know, I want to build up my record. I'm still under 30 years old. I don't want to wait till I'm
Yeah.
too old before I have a record good enough to be like in the UFC or ranked in the UFC.
Yeah, at least fights. Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking of because I've had a few injury setbacks and then with COVID and everything, there was a setback there. And I was like, man, I think I need to fight 6 times this year if I'm healthy to really like fast track, you know, do one quick amateur fight just because I haven't fought in almost a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just like bang out, like basically what you did, like just bang out a bunch of pro fights and, you know, fast track it as quick as possible. Which I mean,
honestly, yeah, I think that's the best route to take.
Right. It's just so, you know, it's funny because as fighters, like we always put off this like persona and people ask me like, oh, do you get nervous the day before a fight? I'm like, no, not really. I get nervous like at the weigh-in, like when I'm making weight. And I'll tell you when I get the most nervous is when they send a contract with somebody's name on it. I'm like that to me, like my last 2 fights, like that was the worst day was when I got it. And I'm like, it's real. Like once I sign this, it's happening. Like there's no way around it. You feel that way?
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I've gotten a contract, it's like, okay, I signed on this dotted line. It's happening. Like,
Yeah.
that means I'm getting into the cage with someone in a couple weeks or a month or 2 months, whatever the length of time is. I'm like,
Right.
So yeah, the signing the contract for sure brings some nerves because you're like, now it's real.
Right.
Now I have a face, I have a person that I got to focus on for the next month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that definitely adds some anxiety. And then yeah, the weigh-ins too for me. Like I get more nervous about, even though I've never missed weight,
Yeah.
just the thought of like having to cut that weight
Yeah.
is always like dreadful.
Yeah. I kind of like the process. Not that I like cutting weight, but I like that because it alleviates some of the stress coming into fight day. It's almost like you've got one big battle, which is making the scale, and then you kind of get to celebrate a little bit because now you get to put on 15, 20 pounds, whatever you cut. You know, some guys cut freaking 30 pounds. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, and then you go fight. And it's almost like the fight is a lot of times the easy part. It's like if you just think about it the right way, you're just like, I just got to fight, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the fight should be the fun part as a fighter. It's the part where you actually get to
show your skills
and do everything you've been training for in the gym and really go out there. And I mean, it might sound messed up to say, but it's fun to hit someone in the face.
It's like, it's weird because when you hit somebody, I mean, up until like the third or fourth round, it's really hard to be present in the cage. You have that same, I mean, you've got a few more fights than me, but like,
I don't know. I feel like once I do step in the cage, I'm very dialed in.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying like right now, if like I punch my hand, I'm going to feel that and I'm going to be like aware of it. But if we have a contract, we sign and we fight, I punch, like I'm not aware of that. Like it's almost like it's a weird, like it's like a sub blackout feeling for me. Do you get that same way or no?
Oh, I get what you mean.
Okay.
I mean, I would say when I'm in the fights, like because of the level of adrenaline and everything, like
right,
I don't really feel the punches or the pain of anything. It's more like that was a hard impact.
Right.
It's going to hurt later. Like I know that. Like I didn't even notice when my lip got split open this last fight. Like I got a knee in the mouth.
Yeah.
And my lip was busted open really bad, which should have hurt really bad. But I didn't notice I was even bleeding or my lip was messed up until after the fight was over. I spit my mouthpiece out and my hand was just covered in blood.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh,
yeah,
my lips busted open.
I had that happen at my first year of college in the dorms. Guy smoked me in the eye, and I just felt like dripping down. Like we got into it, and because you kind of go into that fight or flight, so you're not really like you're almost like laser focused into the task of like this person, like somebody. Like if you get in a fight, like there could be a shooting down the road, but like you're focused on like what's going on. It's a really weird, like if nobody's ever had it, it's kind of a weird like sensation. But I didn't notice my eye was bleeding. I just like I thought somebody threw a water bottle during the fight, and I thought that's what it was. And then I looked, and my eye was just cut. Like, and I had like an inch gash right here. And I was like, oh shit. But like you don't notice those things like when you're fighting.
Yeah, and I would say your memory is blurred too because like I've had fights where after I won and got interviewed, I'm talking about the fight and I describe something that happened in the fight, and then I rewatch it later. And I'm like, that's not how it happened at all.
That's not at all.
And I wasn't even, and in those instances I'm talking about, I wasn't rocked. I never really got hit hard. It wasn't like I was out of it that I didn't know what happened. It was like, it's just so chaotic in the environment of a fight that like, actually memorizing everything that happened immediately after is very difficult.
Yeah. Well, and it's like I'll use the example of like sparring. Like when you're sparring, you're aware of like other things, because you're not like as dialed in as you possibly can, because for whatever reason, like a fight, it just your fight or flight just like initiates. It's
a level of consequences. Like in a sparring match, you're usually not going to get knocked out. You're usually not going to get cut open.
Right.
You're not supposed to get hurt in sparring. Right. But in a fight, like
what is
the goal is to hurt each other.
Yeah, but like but you know what I'm talking about though, right? Yeah. Like that weird, like there's nothing else. Like people talk about like I can't even hear my coaches, and it's like, but normally you can hear your coaches. Normally you can hear, like a pen dropping, but because you're so dialed, it's weird. I don't know. My last fight, I got dropped with the first punch, and then I had to come back from that. I mean, I didn't win, but I still like it was a back and forth fight. But I just remember, I don't remember anything other than the ref saying go or fight, and then seeing his knees and being like, this isn't where I recall being like the same height as this guy at the weigh-in. Why the hell am I on the ground? Like, this isn't good. Like, I just remember thinking that. It was like, I should probably stand up. This is not good.
So you were rocked, I'm assuming.
First punch, I watched I don't remember it, but the first punch, I watched the video. He like stepped and then hit me over the head and hit me in the back of the ear. And I like went like this and wobbled.
Yeah, it's one of the spots that will mess up your equilibrium for sure.
Yeah.
My first professional fight, I did get rocked. Like I got hit with an overhand right in the temple because I didn't take this fight as seriously as I should have probably. When I faced off against him at weigh-ins too, like I almost laughed in his face. I was like, I can't believe you think you're gonna fight me. Like,
oh yeah,
you shouldn't have signed that contract. I'm better than you in every way. Like, not to even sound cocky, but like,
yeah,
I felt like skill-wise, I was a better striker and grappler than this guy.
Just overlooked him a little bit.
But like because of that, I threw like some lazy punches that like weren't really trying to even hurt him. I was just kind of like trying to spend time in the cage and like just
experience
get some experience and not even try to finish the fight at first.
Right.
And I threw a lazy jab that he threw an overhand perfectly timed and everything and threw all his body weight behind it. And it hit me in the perfect spot. My legs went out from under me. I did a couple front flips, rolled around, and I got back up to my feet. And like in the fight, my recollection was like we were fighting. I had him up against the cage. And then all of a sudden, I just remember feeling like I was underwater fighting, like, or like in a bad dream.
Yeah.
When you're trying to punch in your dreams and you can't actually punch.
Oh my God. It's the worst. That's how it feels in fighting sometimes. Like when you're in a fight, that's how it feels. It's like, why is this not happening? I remember, my last fight, I was just like putting like as much as I could into it. And it felt like a dream. That's a really good way to explain it. Is it like, it feels like a dream when you're in there? Like, you don't really notice it when you're in there because you're not really, I mean, you're present, but you're going more into like what you've trained. But when you get out, you're like, that feels so weird.
Especially when you're rocked too.
Yes. Yes. Especially when you're rocked.
I didn't even remember I was rocked. They interviewed me after the fight and were like, you seemed hurt there for a second. I was like, I was never hurt at any moment. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
I had no idea. I watched the film that same night and was like, oh my God, like that was so bad.
I feel like the only thing that brings you back to reality is like a really bad leg kick or like a body shot where you're just like, oh, that hurt.
Yeah, I would say the body shots and the leg kicks are the one thing you kind of do feel the pain of in the moment. It's funny how that is because like I heard someone describe it like this before. I don't remember where I heard this, but like when you're punched in the head, it's almost like taking a shot of alcohol and you're like more ready to go.
Yeah.
And then you get hit in the body or you get kicked in the leg and it's actually takes the wind out of you and it's painful.
Yeah.
But the punches to the head, you just feel the impact and you're like more ready to fight as long as it doesn't rock you.
Yeah. Well, people don't realize, I mean, if you take a shot to the nose, it kind of hurts. I think in a fight, I haven't been hit in the nose in a fight, but I think in a fight, it's maybe a little bit different. But
I broke my nose in a fight.
Yeah. Did you feel it during the fight?
It was more the impact. Afterwards, it definitely hurt.
Okay.
I would say because that second amateur fight I told you about earlier, that was when I broke my nose in the fight.
Okay.
And then I fought 4 weeks later in another fight while my nose was still broken.
Oh, shoot.
That second fight, after I went into it already broken, then it hurt when I got hit in it. Okay. I don't know what the difference is there, but maybe it's because I already knew it was broken and I already knew it was hurting before the fight.
Yeah.
And when I got hit, it was like right at the beginning before like the adrenaline really picked up. Mm-hmm. So that time I did feel it.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's weird because like when you talk to normal people, do you tell people you're an MMA fighter?
I don't it's not a first thing that comes up, but like it definitely does come up sometimes. I'll go to the gas station wearing like my gym clothes or something. And
like if somebody came up to you and was like, hey, what do you do for work? What do you say?
For a while, it wasn't like my first thing, but now that I'm a 5-0 pro. So I think I've earned the right finally to be like, I'm a professional MMA fighter as my line of work.
And I don't even think, cause I'm kind of the, like obviously we train every day and, you have, I haven't had my first pro fight and you've had 5. So, but I mean, I have been paid, like I've been compensated with like sponsorships and stuff like that. But so I technically consider myself a pro fighter, but I don't say it. So I was just curious if you said it or not, because sometimes I feel not awkward about saying it, like in a like, oh, I'm not confident about it or anything. I mean, I think there is like a level, like if you're in the UFC, I'm in the UFC, but if you're lower, it's almost one of those awkward things. Like, do you want to explain to somebody that, well, I've had my first pro fight, I'm 1-0 or whatever, like, oh, how much to get paid? Well, like, do you want to explain to somebody that it technically is a side job but it's not. I don't know. It's one of those weird things where I'm just kind of like, I coach wrestling. Like, leave me alone. I'm your Uber driver. Like, let's just leave it at that.
I get what you mean. I would say like one area where I do end up having to describe what I do every time I get a haircut, if I'm going to a new barber, a new stylist or whatever, like, what do you do for work?
Yeah.
I'm like, I actually do a lot of different things.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's how
I just kind of list off every single thing I'm doing to get paid. Like,
yes. And I get annoyed, like not that I'm annoyed by the question, but to me, it's like, okay, I've been paid for fighting. I've been paid for YouTube. I get paid to drive Uber. Like I get paid to coach wrestling. It's like, I just got to pick, like,
yeah,
like
it's hard because you're listing off so many things. It's like, I usually explain like the goal is to be a fighter full time.
Yeah.
Right now for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is the goal.
Yeah.
I am getting closer and closer to doing that every fight.
Right.
But I do these other things on the side in the meantime. Is kind of how I usually explain it.
That's how I do it too. I like tell people, well, I'm an MMA fighter, but I'm like, I do this stuff to pay the bills because fighting has it, I'm not at that level yet to have it compensate me. I think that's probably the best way to explain it.
Yeah, I would say that's usually how I go about it.
But it's always awkward, especially if you're talking to older people.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm an MMA fighter. Like, what's that?
Yeah.
You ever run into that?
Oh, I mean, for sure. I've explained it to people, or I say I'm a fighter, and they're like, they assume boxing usually at first.
Yes, it's always boxing.
And then I explain MMA, and usually if I say the UFC, they're like, oh, so you're a UFC fighter? I'm like, well, no.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to the UFC.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of lower level organizations before then. And they're like, oh, what organization? Like,
people don't get that.
Never would have heard of most of them.
Yeah. Do you ever run into, because I run into this a lot. I mean, you're in you meet a lot of people. You probably talk to a lot of people doing the Chippendale stuff. I don't know how much like interaction goes on with that. Do you get a lot of like interaction with people, or is it more like, hey, let's take a picture?
They're brief interactions, but it fluctuates from group to group, but some groups we get to talking a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like ideally when I'm out there, I'm hustling and I'm going next group as much as possible. But I definitely get interaction. I mean, I show up to work with black eyes and stuff all the time from training.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny being like a Chippendale model, but then showing up with black eye, or I went out there with my nose broken and things before too. And
yeah.
It's a conversation starter at least, because people were like, what the hell happened to you?
Is that, because I would feel like a job like that, one, I think very differently of the women that do it versus the men, because the men just have their shirt off and that's like normal. But the women are like
wearing pasties.
Nothing. Yeah. Like I think, like I think, and you can bring up what you want. You can say what you want. Like this could be a debate if you want to have it. But like, I think that there's a different moral standard, like with the women that do not, because they're not Chippendales. They're usually like strippers, aren't they?
I don't think all of them do. I think some of them do. I think a lot of them do that full time though. Like they make good money standing out there on Fremont, just taking photos.
Do you think there's a moral difference?
Yes and no. I mean, I think I'd be worried about being a woman being out there just because it'd be more dangerous, I think.
Okay.
Honestly, because people are just unhinged and people try to get away with stuff all the time.
Right.
Honestly, it's crazy how it's like, if guys out there doing that job, like, yeah, we're usually wearing jeans, so we're just shirtless. I mean, we're wearing more clothes than we would if we went to the pool or something.
Right.
But then, yeah, like you said, I mean, the women are usually wearing like pasties and a thong. That's like that's pretty much their uniform. Some of them wear more, some of them wear less.
Yeah.
And it also depends, like, I don't know how far they take it too with certain things. Like people at my job can take the interaction further, like sexually than I do.
Yeah.
Not every one of the people that me and one other guy are married at my job.
Really?
And then the other people, some of them are in relationships, some of them aren't. So
yeah,
some of them maybe push the interaction further, like through their words or whatever than I would.
Okay.
So I mean, you can kind of have that like nuance to it as far as like how you interact with people.
Gotcha.
But I usually am just like, I mean, I try to make it very clear. I'm wearing my wedding ring out there, and like, and if I ask a couple, oh, can I borrow your wife for a photo or whatever, and they're like, oh, she's married. I'm like, I'm married too. Don't make it weird. It's just pictures. We're out here. It's like going to Disneyland and doing a photo with Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, except Mickey Mouse has
except
Mickey Mouse has his dick out. What? I'm just kidding.
Well,
I know
I got the jeans on.
I know. I'm just messing with you. I don't know.
And I try to get the guys involved too. Like I try to
Yeah.
make it like I try to keep it the least like
Sexual.
yeah.
Well,
I get the
guess
boyfriends, husbands involved.
so that's where I think is like where it would be different is I don't think there's any way for the women that do it to not make it sexual. Whereas I think the men that do it, like you're saying, can make it not sexual. Like when people go up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. I get that. And I definitely think, I mean, it depends on the person I'm interacting with too. I definitely have brought women in to do photos that try to take the interaction further than I want it to go because they're in Vegas and they think there's no rules. We can do whatever we want and try to like be extra and
Does
take
that
their
ever?
top off or whatever. And
Oh, geez.
yeah,
Does that get awkward?
it can.
Yeah.
It definitely can. I mean, I'm used to it at this point. So like,
How does your wife feel about it?
I mean, she supports it in the sense of like she realizes that I'm pursuing my dream of fighting.
And this is
And
the way to
like
pay
this
the
is
bills.
like paying the bills. It's very flexible. My boss at my job is an ex-professional MMA fighter.
Okay.
So when I'm like, I have a short notice fight next weekend,
Yeah.
like I need the days off, he's like done.
Mm.
If I was to use my degree and get like a quote unquote more serious job, I wouldn't be able to have that flexibility with my schedule. I wouldn't be able to dedicate as much time to training.
Right.
So like because she realizes like my end goal, it kind of justifies like what I'm doing now, if that makes sense. And she also trusts me, which is a big part of it. Like if I feel like if I didn't establish that level of trust between herself and I, like this type of job wouldn't fly for sure.
Yeah.
Because I could definitely see how someone that had less strict morals than I do out there could take advantage of being in that position. And
is there guys that do that use it as like kind of a way to pull?
Oh, I mean, most of the guys I work with, especially if they're single, like are using
they don't
that
care.
job to pick up women 100%.
Really? Do they? I guess they probably don't care. Like not the guys. I'm saying like the management probably doesn't give a shit.
Oh yeah, they don't care.
They're like,
as long as it's not getting in the way of our sales and everything.
Yeah. As long as it's not gay sex on the Senate floor.
Yeah.
Did you see that video?
Wait,
or did you hear about this?
I didn't.
Oh, some Senate staffer like was having gay sex on the Senate floor. I didn't watch the video, but I heard about it. I didn't watch it once. Gotta watch it twice. No, no, but you didn't hear about this?
I think I did hear something now that you say it, but I did not like look into it at all.
Oh my gosh.
I think I maybe read an article in passing or something.
Do you get into politics much?
I hate politics, man.
Really?
I hate politics. One of my best friends is a politician too, but like I just
Democrat or Republican?
It's funny because I would say I vote usually primarily Republican, but he's Democrat.
Oh, really? You guys get along?
It's funny how we get along so well, but our political views are so drastically different.
Yeah.
But we're both kind of the mindset of like, just because we have different political beliefs doesn't mean we're like the other person's a bad person, which is crazy how some people think that, you know what I mean? Like you have a different political view than me, so that instantly makes you a terrible person. And I feel like so many people think that.
Yeah.
And it's such a closed-minded view to have.
It's a weird one, man, because I have my lines in the sand, you know, like we are like, I'm not changing unless you give some hardcore evidence on this. Like my mind is not changing, but I don't think that like means we can't debate or we can't, you know, I mean, I could have my mind change. Like if somebody brought like really good evidence and like had a really good point, I could, you know, change my mind. Like, like one of them for me, like my biggest one is abortion. Like I will probably never vote for somebody that is like pro-choice. Like that's just one of those things for me morally. Like I feel like evidentially that life starts in conception, and I feel like I need to it's my part to at least speak that and, you know, vote that way, you know? Like that's one of the hard lines in the sand. Like I asked my wife on our first date, like if she was pro-life or pro-choice. Because I was like, I'm not going to waste my time like trying to change your mind on this if I don't, like, I'm not going to like say, oh, you're a, you know, piece of crap, all this stuff, but like, but I'm not going to like spend time unfairly trying to change your mind, because I think a lot of people do that. They like meet somebody, they hook up, they are completely unaligned, and then, but because of the infatuation that goes on with like the first stages of dating, they overlook it. And then a year or two down the road with kids, whatever, it's like these issues start to come up. Like you're seeing right now, like with the trans issue, like people are getting divorced over this. Like people are losing their kids over like the trans issue. And yeah, it wasn't a huge issue like even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but now it is. And it just feels like they could have done a little bit more due diligence of finding out where this person stood on like certain moral issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like people need to have those hard conversations with their
Yeah.
potential partners before they become that serious and
Yeah.
intertangle their lives with each other. Like,
Yeah. Do you have any hard lines in the sand, like politically or spiritually or
man, it's hard because I think there's a lot of things like even abortion, I think
nuance?
it's a gray area. There's a lot
Yeah.
of gray area in a lot of these political issues.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say I have too many hard stances on certain things.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd have to be asked specifically like what I felt about a certain situation in
Mm.
particular, and then I could give you be like, because of this so and so like background or whatever,
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know how to explain it, but I don't really have too many hard lines in the sand with those
Yeah.
things. But I definitely do usually, I would say, tilt towards like more right wing ideals politically.
Okay. What is your view on abortion?
I think in certain circumstances, like if it's endangering the health of
The mother. Yeah.
or incest or
Like some kind of rape
like
situation.
rape,
Yeah.
like I do think those are situations like where I think it's okay.
It's a conversation at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What about so okay. So would you say like your stance on that is those are on the table to talk about and then the others that are out of convenience are just completely wiped away?
Yeah, like I get sick when I see like I've seen videos of women being like, I've had 40 abortions or something, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you shouldn't be using that as a form of birth control.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's not what it's there for. Like
Right.
like the when it's being abused,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the welfare system, for example. I
Right.
think it helps people that need it,
Yeah.
but there's people that abuse it.
Right. Do you think it's just one of those issues that we're not gonna like? It's like guns. Like it's either you can have them or you can't. There's no like middle ground. Like with abortion, it's like either you can have an abortion at any stage or you can't have it at any stage, and there's no room for conversation because of how polarized it is.
I do think most people just think too black and white with
Yeah.
everything. It's either one extreme or the other. Like there's not a lot of people that have those nuanced views, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I guess when you're passing a law or whatever, it's hard to be more nuanced.
Yeah, there's not really room for gray area in laws.
Yeah, it's
'cause
hard.
It's
It
like
has to
black
be
and
one way
white.
or the other usually.
Yeah.
It's like I also think like the war on drugs, for example. I think there's things that are illegal that maybe they should be legalized, but put in a way that's like,
We can monitor it.
yeah.
That way kids aren't dying of like fentanyl and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, see, I think fentanyl should be illegal, I think, as
Yeah.
far as, but like something like maybe psilocybin mushrooms,
Mhm.
I don't think that's deadly in the same sense as something like heroin or meth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think alcohol is worse than a lot of illegal things.
You know what? Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
I mean, I don't really have much else to say about that, but I do think
Yeah.
alcohol, which is a very illegal substance, causes more issues than things like marijuana, which just recently got legalized.
Right. Right. You know what I think a huge problem is you can't get, let's say you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican. It sounds to me like on the abortion issue, like most Republicans are like at conception, like that's where we want the line to end. And most Democrats is like, anything after that, it's fine. So let's just say for like sake of argument, you're a Democrat, I'm a Republican on this one issue, right? Because you probably lean a little bit more. You're not like fully like every situation for an abortion is evil, right? I think the problem is like you can't ever get a high-ranking Democrat or a high-ranking Republican to just sit down and say, let's just talk it out, let's figure it out. Like everything's a hearing on the Senate floor, everything's a debate, everything's this like, like we're on camera, so I can't be wrong and you can't be wrong. And now we just have to fight it out and let the audience decide whose ideas are better. Whereas it's like, I personally I don't agree with you on the abortion issue. I think that it's conception, and that's where it is. And if it's life at that point, then it's worth defending under any circumstance. And the only leeway I really give is like if the mother is gonna die. But usually, like having done some medical studies and going to EMT school and stuff, like there's not a lot of cases where that happens. It's more, and the option is always to try to preserve the life of the baby as well. But if you can't, then like if you can't preserve the mother, like mother's life comes first and the baby's life. But that's not like a thing that really happens much, you know? It's like
It's rare.
and usually they don't do an abortion. They do like a life-saving, like you know, they try to like deliver the baby early or, you know, induce labor. And, you know, you just can't deliver a baby that's 20 weeks, you know, 20 weeks developed. Like you just can't do it. So that's when issues happen. But I think like I'm not like shouting you down about it, and you're not shouting me down about it. You know, it's like,
Yeah, you're entitled to your views.
yeah, like how do we come to an agreement? You know,
Hmm.
like I think that's where the problem is like this social media age of, well, you're an effing POS because you think that we should kill babies. And it's like, maybe withhold some of the judgment and just let's just have a conversation. Like, let's sit down. Where do you think life starts? When do you think it's worth protecting? You know?
Mhm. Yeah, that's tough. And I also think the loudest people on social media are going to be the people with extreme views.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the other hard thing. I think there's a lot more people than we think that have these more moderate views
Right.
that just aren't shouting it at the rooftops.
Right.
Like, you know,
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, like if you look at the comment section on YouTube, it's usually one way or the other. It's like, man, you're effing awesome. I love you. Or you're a piece of crap. Like, I hate you. I hope your family burns in hell. Like, there's no like, hey, good job, bro. You know, like there's no like lukewarm people commenting on social
Yeah.
media. And that's where probably like 60 to 70% of people lie, is like that lukewarm area of like, you know, I just kind of want to live my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it would be a better world for sure if we could find more middle ground on issues. It's not everyone's gonna be satisfied,
Yeah.
but I do think those middle grounds would make things a lot better than having one extreme or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. So no hard lines in the sand? Like do you and your wife agree on politics, religion, like stuff like that? Was that like a
I would say when we first started dating, she was definitely a lot more left leaning in her politics. I
okay.
think she's come around to being slightly more right leaning.
Yeah.
I think I've also went from more right to a little bit more center.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of started to meet in the middle.
Yeah. Isn't
That's
that
we
funny how
did,
that
yeah.
happens? I was listening to something the other day. It was saying that Gen Z boys are the fast, like the furthest right demographic, and Gen Z girls are the furthest left demographic. And I feel like naturally
That's
men are,
interesting.
isn't that weird? Do you feel like naturally men are more conservative and women are more liberal?
I do in my
Yeah.
experience for sure.
Yeah. It's weird. Because I've become not more liberal, but there are certain things where my wife has taught me, because she's not liberal by any means, but my wife has taught me to have more compassion about certain issues and certain people, and, you know, to have a little bit more patience with people. And I think like compassion and patience like is more of like a liberal philosophy, and in theory at least.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I do think that, it's good to have someone that balances you out in a way,
Right.
for sure. And my wife came from a different background than me. I mean, she was a professional like ballet dancer at one point and like was going to a liberal arts school for that. So
Oh, really?
she was in that kind of, surrounded by those people that usually have those more left-leaning ideals.
Yeah.
So like, and I grew up in Las Vegas, but my parents were both more Republican for sure. So that kind of like I was surrounded by the more right-wing ideals where she was surrounded by more of the left-wing ideals. So we kind of have developed, like showed each other both of our point of views. We've talked about these things before and kind
Yeah.
of have come to more of a middle ground.
Yeah. Did you find it? No, you guys are both from Las Vegas, you said?
No, she's from North Carolina.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. That's right. You did tell me that. I remember that. Gotcha. She's from North Carolina and she
I
was
know
more
we're
left.
flying out there tomorrow too. That'll be fun.
Okay. What kind of plans you guys have for Christmas?
I mean, it'll be her first Christmas with her family in several years.
Okay.
So that was kind of my Christmas present to her was I bought us flights to go to North Carolina.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it'll be fun spending time with her family. And she has a large family. My family's a lot smaller. But her family, she has like she's one of like 8 siblings. And
Dang.
yeah.
That's crazy. I know some people like that. I was actually at dinner last night with a guy that has 7 kids and not religious at all. So like he says the first question he always gets is, "Are you Mormon?" He's like, "Nope, not Mormon, not Jehovah's Witness, not Christian, not Catholic. Like we just do our own thing." And
Enjoy making babies.
yep, yeah. So it's the process that's fun, right? It's not the kids that's fun, but the like the making them part. That's terrible. Uh, did you watch UFC 296?
That was this one this last weekend
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Covington and Edwards, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I did.
Did you put money on it?
I didn't. I haven't bet on a fight in a long time. Actually, the last time I think I bet on a UFC fight was it was so long ago. It was when Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo.
Really?
And I bet for
2015?
and I bet for Jose Aldo to win.
How old were you? Like 17? I think I was in
If it was 2015, I would have been like
18,
would have been 19,
19. Okay. When did you
19 or
graduate?
20,
13?
14.
Oh, you okay. So you're a year older than me.
Yeah, it would have been I would have been 19 or 20 when that fight happened. And I think I probably gave my brother money to place the bet for me or something.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. When you get to the UFC, are you allowed to place bets?
No.
You can't bet
I
on
think
fights
they
at all.
used to be able to.
And then
I think they recently changed it because people were kind of abusing.
well, it was
it.
was it Kraus, Robert Kraus that was
I
doing
thought
it?
it was James Krause.
James Kraus, that's
Yeah,
right. That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there, but apparently, as a coach at some of these big gyms, you kind of have insider information.
Oh yeah.
A fighter's going into a fight hurt, injured, or
Dude, there's like
yeah,
50 fights that I've been like, man, if I bet for this, because there's been fights that I knew were going down from inside our gym that I knew were not going to happen because of injury. And it like took a couple weeks for it to come out. And I was like, man, I could go put $100 on this to not happen and I'd make like 10 grand. But, obviously you're not going to do that because that's insider trading.
yeah, no, it's hard. I asked actually because I just fought this past weekend in my
Right.
fight because it was for LFA actually where there were odds on the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about placing a bet on myself because even though on Tapology it showed me that as a favorite, when the actual betting odds came out, the other guy became the favorite somehow.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, so I ended up being like plus like 250 or something.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, if I can bet on myself, like I'm gonna more than double my money right now.
And what'd they say?
But apparently, I don't know. I looked into it and it's like I probably wouldn't have got caught if I did it, but I didn't do it just because technically I guess I'm not supposed to.
Okay.
So
You can't, yeah.
I didn't because I wanted to bet like a few $1,000s on myself to win.
I feel like you should be able to bet on yourself.
Yeah, and I thought you used to be able to. I remember Justin from our gym bet on himself to win his fight and then ended
James?
up losing. Yeah.
Oh.
That was like one of the last times when the UFC we were still allowed to do it in the UFC. This was like a year or two ago now.
Oh, when he
But
was
I
still
remember
with them,
he
yeah.
he bet on himself to win. He bet like 50,000 on himself to win.
Justin James?
Yeah.
He bet 50 grand on himself to win?
Yeah, and then it didn't work out.
How much money does that guy have? Dude, that's like a Drake bet.
But yeah, that was like
50 grand?
yeah, it was like his total fight purse. Like I think that was what he was supposed to make to fight.
Oh, geez.
And he bet it on himself to win. And then like I think he almost got a knockout too in the first round, but then the guy recovered and finished him in the second. From what I
Wow.
remember. But
Do you have to go to the bathroom? I gotta piss.
I mean, yeah, we can.
I'm gonna go run to the restroom real quick.
No worries. Yeah, I might as well.
Okay. Oh, we're back. We had to take a little potty break. What were we talking about?
We're talking about UFC 296.
Oh, yeah. What did you think of the main event?
I mean, I was at a Christmas party when we were watching it, so
Okay.
I went over to my coach Roman's house for a Christmas party, and
Right.
I requested the fights be put on, so we ended up putting them on, but not everyone was really watching it. I was kind of one of the only people really sitting down and like paying attention to the fights the whole time.
Yeah.
But that main event was honestly, it made me not really pay attention to it because it wasn't as good of a fight as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Colby didn't come out like he normally does in his fights. He wasn't
Yeah.
pushing the pace the whole time. Like
No.
I usually think of him as like a cardio machine and just like high output constantly.
Yeah.
And he was kind of on the back foot, backing up like so much. And it was really weird.
Yeah. He, and I've had Colby on here before, so I don't want to like, I was not a fan of what he said about Leon's dad. Did you see that whole deal?
Yeah, I did see that. And he got
Yeah.
the drink thrown on his face.
I think rightfully so. I would, if somebody said something like that about my father, and it wouldn't matter if my dad was Hitler, I would still be like, I don't know. It's just weird. And we could talk about that in a minute. But Colby looked like I feel when I haven't sparred in like a year. Like it's just like his shots did not look clean. It was like he was reaching for them all. He did not look, it looked like he was scared to get knocked out the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with that. I do think, maybe from his last fights with Usman when he got hurt, like maybe it did something to him.
But he fought, I mean, he beat the shit out of Masvidal 2 years ago. I just think 2 years is a long time to take off.
That too. I mean, like we discussed earlier, I guess like a fight's way different than sparring.
Yeah.
So if you aren't having those consistent fights, you're not used to really getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you are doing hard sparring, it's still like you're even in hard sparring, your teammates really usually not trying to knock you out.
Yeah. Unless
We're
you're
in a fight that threat. Yeah,
unless you go with Sean.
But yeah, in an actual fight when your opponent really is trying to hurt you, it definitely is different. And I'm sure he was worried about like getting knocked out. I mean, even in my last fight, like
Yeah.
I knew what I was supposed to do when I blocked a kick. I knew I was supposed to step in and counter, but because that
Right.
distance felt so far after I blocked the kick, I was like, I don't want to rush in recklessly and get caught.
Yeah.
So like it made me hesitate and it made me not do what I should have done.
Right.
And I'm sure that same thing was happening to him, like knowing what he's supposed to do, but realizing the potential of getting knocked out stopped him from really doing it.
Right. Yeah, it's the knockout stuff. It's like for a fighter, it's one of the more frustrating things about the fight because you're like, you could do everything right. You could train right. You could eat right. You could be a 10 times better fighter and beating the crap out of the guy, but he throws up one overhand and you go lights out. And it's like, shit, man, like what, there's nothing you can do about that. And it's like it's not a scary thing. It's just, I mean, it is scary, but it's not like, it's more scary like for your reputation, I think. And like for the fact that it's out of your control, to an extent, right? Like you can't train your chin.
To an extent.
Can you train your chin?
You can train your neck and
does that help you
absorb impact. Yeah.
Man. Does that help you with knockouts?
Yeah, I would say
training your neck.
I would say training your neck and traps, like.
But it's if you get hit on the jaw, right?
I mean, yeah, but ultimately, think about if your head does like this whiplash motion. Your brain's gonna be bouncing around a lot more than if it stays still. If that makes sense.
I think it makes that much of a difference.
Yeah, I do think so.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Why?
I mean, there's actually studies.
Oh, is there? Okay.
There are some studies that show like I forget what it is, but I think like every pound of neck muscle you get, it's like 5% less concussion. Like,
oh, really?
Something like that. Yeah,
dude.
I don't know the exact numbers.
Yeah,
but there is studies on like neck training and like the more muscle you have, the less concussion symptoms you're gonna get basically from impact.
Huh. Yeah. I guess if somebody's got like a pencil neck and they get hit, just gonna fly back and get knocked out.
Yeah, because apparently it's not really like when you get hit, like it doesn't just send the shock to your brain. It's like when your head moves,
Goes through
side of your
spine.
skull hits your brain.
Oh, so
'Cause
that's
your
why
brain
you'll.
is suspended in fluid in your skull.
Yeah.
So when your head moves suddenly, your brain's like bouncing off the side of your skull. But
Oh,
like,
that's what causes the
but if your
concussion,
head
right?
stays still when it gets hit, your brain's not going to move around as much.
Mm. That's why Yoel Romero is impossible to knock out.
Yeah, when he got his neck fused,
Yeah.
yeah, that definitely helps with
Well,
absorbing that impact, I guess. So,
Yoel and Francis, I don't think those two could, like, I physically don't think they could get knocked out. It's crazy.
yeah, it definitely would take a lot for sure.
Dude, Francis is so big. I keep hearing people talk about how big he is in podcasts. He's 300 pounds. If anybody wants to know how much he actually weighs, it's 300 pounds. I asked him a few months back, or maybe a year ago. I was like, "What do you weigh, dude?" And he's like, 275. And I get down to like 260 for my fights, 265. But that was before the knee surgery when he got really big. And I mean, I think for the Tyson fight, he was like 265, 270, something like that. But I mean, that guy I guarantee he has stepped on the scale 300 pounds before.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He's huge.
For sure. I know I've grappled with him a few times and sparred with him. Definitely a big guy. He told me I'm strong, so that was one of the better compliments I've gotten.
Yeah, it's crazy going with him because you're just like, there's not much. Like I have obviously, I have my wrestling background, but he would be probably 40 pounds of muscle heavier than anybody I've ever wrestled.
For sure.
It's like crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I just counted as a success when I've gotten up off bottom with him on top before. And like it's not because he has super good wrestling technique or anything, but he's just so
No.
damn strong. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, defending a takedown from him or getting up from bottom when he's on top was like a win.
Yeah.
And I tried to take him down and I can't. I shot a double leg on him that was like one of the better doubles I've ever shot in my life and got face planted into the mat. Like I had this brief moment of like, oh my God, I'm about to take Francis down. And then next thing I knew, I was flattened out on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, he just sprawled so hard on top of me.
You're like, well, that didn't work out.
Yeah. So yeah, Francis is a scary specimen of a man for sure.
So I wrestled heavyweight in college. I was a little bit bigger. I was probably like 240, 245. And I had aspirations of fighting heavyweight when I started training because I was like, I've been a heavyweight my whole college career. Like, I'm going to fight heavyweight. The moment I saw Francis, all those aspirations of heavyweight went away. Like 100. I remember seeing him knock somebody out probably 6 years ago. And I was like, oh, I bet like that's the guy I want to fight. And then I saw him in person. I was like, fuck that. I am not fighting that guy ever.
Get locked in the cage.
No, never, bro. 205. Like I'll go to 85 before I fight him at heavyweight. There's no way. Like I'm not doing it. It's just there's just certain things that no matter like we were talking about like strengthening your neck. My bone structure could not take a punch from him, I don't think. Like, I mean, I would have to have so much like heavyweights that have like way bigger frames than me can't take a punch from him. And I probably have like a better frame for like 185. Like I don't think I could make 185. I weigh 230, but there's just no way. He's just so big.
Yeah, it's like at some point, I mean, like the heavyweights have more knockouts, I think, than any other weight class because at some point, like even if you are building up that muscle in your neck or whatever to absorb impact, like your ability to produce force is going to be more than your ability to take force.
Right.
Like at the lighter weight classes, flyweights, featherweights, whatever, like they can throw a ton of punches that aren't going to knock someone out, even if they get clean.
Yeah.
But I would say like middleweight and up.
Yeah.
Most middleweights, light heavyweights, and heavyweights, if they land one clean shot, like that's it.
Well, yeah, I think the knockout percentage actually goes up, or it goes up as you go up in the weight class because it's like a sliding scale. You don't necessarily get bigger and more power and get more ability to take punches. It's like
I think the ability to produce power goes up faster than the ability to take damage.
Yes. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and you have the same it's the same brain that we were talking about earlier. It's like, but it's just now there's more power. It's like a sliding scale, like you could be 250 pounds, but you and a 195 pounder are going to take the same amount of a shot. Obviously a 125 pounder isn't going to take that same shot.
Definitely.
And I mean, I think that was one of the big reasons like the co-main event went so long because it like both those guys were just smoking each other. Did you watch the
Yeah,
co-main event?
yeah, yeah.
What's it? Pantoja, and then what was the other guy's name?
Brandon Royval, I think.
Royval. Yeah.
Royval, yeah.
Yeah. He needs to work on his defense, his takedown defense.
Yeah, true.
They said he had like a 40% defense rate. And it was funny because like during the fight, Daniel was like, "Man, everybody's taking this guy down." It was like,
You know what's funny? We were just talking about the knockout power going up at heavyweight, but what about Josh Emmett's knockout of Bryce Mitchell?
so I didn't see it. What happened?
So I mean, that man is a featherweight, but he hits like a middleweight, light heavyweight. Like
Smoked him, huh?
it just was one of those overhands where he put all his body weight into it, and also Bryce Mitchell kind of leaned forward into it, and it hit him square on the chin.
Didn't he like start like convulsing
Yeah,
and
he
have
was
like a seizure?
seizing on the ground for sure. It was a scary knockout.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't watch it. That was the third fight from or no, that was the opening fight of the main card, right? Because there was a cancellation
Yeah, I
and they
think it
put
was
it
the first fight on the main card.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that was definitely a scary knockout. That guy Josh Emmett has crazy power for that weight class. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any other featherweight that can hit like that.
He hits like a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read about it and I saw Bryce. Did you see Bryce's response, like talking about it?
Yeah, I did. I did.
What did he say? Because I didn't see it yet.
I don't remember everything he said, but I mean, he basically was saying he didn't remember anything for a while after that. Like,
Yeah.
he was like, I got up from the knockdown, I was trying to talk to everybody and like walk around the cage. He's like, but that wasn't me there. That was like my body, but I wasn't there. He's like, I wasn't aware of anything going on until like hours later, basically.
That's a weird concept of like, it wasn't me there because you can't remember something,
Yeah.
because it's like, it really, like if you're like a terrible human, like kind of the Jason Bourne thing, like if you're a terrible human being or a spy, but then you wake up one day and can't remember it. Is it like, is that you? Is it not you? Like, what if you become a completely new person? Like, that's a weird thing to think about.
For sure. I mean, yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it's like when I told you I was rocked and my body was reacting without me being able to be there consciously.
Mm-hmm.
I guess whatever your normal state that your mind is in is kind of what it defaults to.
Yeah.
When you aren't able to actually like be in control of your actions. I don't know.
Yeah. Getting knocked out's weird. It's just a weird thing. Now, did Bryce say that he has had seizures in the past? Like, does he have a history of seizures or?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
Okay. How are the doctors reacting? Because I haven't seen it. I'm going to go watch it after this because
You should see it. Yeah.
It's weird, huh?
Yeah, it was. I mean, he was down for a while.
Yeah.
And like literally, after he finally got up from it and was trying to walk around, Joe Rogan's on the mic screaming like, "Someone sit him down! Like he shouldn't be walking around." Like,
Oh,
sit
really?
him down. Yeah, Joe Rogan's on the mic yelling that
Oh, geez.
because he was walking, but his legs were like it was like a baby deer,
Yeah.
just walking around, but like stumbling everywhere, trying to like walk around and talk to people.
Yeah. You shouldn't be walking around after that. Yeah. They should get you on a seat.
Oh yeah, no, that was like as brutal of a knockout as I mean, you've seen my head kick knockout a couple fights ago, right? The
Yeah.
guy went stiff, and that guy had a seizure too.
Jeez.
Like it was like that, but from a punch and at a way lower weight class. Usually at those low weight classes, the knockouts that are like that are from like a kick or something.
Yeah.
Something where you can produce a little bit more force.
More force, yeah. Unless you're Cody Garbrandt and you whiz by somebody's head.
True, true.
He had a good knockout
he
too.
He did.
Yeah. Have you ever been knocked out?
The closest was that first professional fight where I had that lapse in memory
Yeah.
and was stumbled, but I'd never been knocked unconscious.
Really?
And I mean, I've had concussions from football too, where like I remember at football camp one time because I played fullback and linebacker, so
Yeah.
every play was a full speed sprint into somebody, like, and coaches at the time taught dumb things like to hit with your head.
Yes, hit with the top of your head. I remember this.
Yeah,
It's like,
I remember they would say hat and hands, as in like hit them with your head under the chin and then hit them with your hands right after, like up under the chest.
Yeah.
And that was like how we were supposed to engage people.
Yeah. And break your neck.
But I remember I had like engaged. I was at linebacker and I blitzed and I think I got the tackle, but I think we hit head to head and like it rocked me in some way.
Okay.
And I don't remember what happened immediately after, but then I remember we were all of a sudden like several plays later and like a different position on the field. And I'm like, what's going on right now?
What
Oh,
the
we're in
hell?
a scrimmage still. Like,
Yeah.
we're here. And then I just kept playing. But I just remember that it was just that lapse in like time, like all of a
Yeah.
sudden.
It's such
I
a
also
weird
had
thing.
that happen one time when I wrestled in high school. My senior year of high school in our state tournament, I injured my knee in a match in the semifinals, and then I kept wrestling on it.
Mhm.
But I remember after my knee was already hurt, I got picked up and slammed on my head pretty bad. And then in between that match and my next one, I was warming up and I had like an hour before the match or something like that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, my coach runs up to me and was like, "They've been calling your name for the last 15 minutes. Like, you're about to get your match canceled." And I was like, "What happened? What?" Like, I had an hour, but that time just disappeared because I was concussed.
Oh, jeez.
And I went and wrestled and lost because one, I was concussed. Two, I could barely stand on one leg because I hurt my knee.
Yeah.
So it was all bad. But yeah, concussions are
It's a weird
a
thing.
weird thing for sure.
I got knocked out in practice one time wearing headgear and with shin guards. And the guy kicked me in the head and knocked me out cold. It's the first time I've ever been knocked out. And I think it's the only time I've ever been knocked out. And it's such a weird feeling because it's like waking up like from a scary dream. You ever have a dream where you feel like you have no control, but then you wake up and you're like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
It was like that, like really weird. And then so I'm like, I just remember like I don't remember the kick. I was wearing I have like some headgear that I was like testing out, and it's got like the nose guard for boxing. If you're a kid and you're listening to this, don't ever wear that for MMA sparring because you cannot see anything that comes underneath the waist. And if you know anything about the human body, the foot is underneath the waist. So like I just took a kick right to the head, didn't block it, and I just woke up and they were taking my gloves off. I'm like, what the hell happened? They're like, oh yeah, you got knocked out. And I remember just being like, shoot. And I went up to the guy, like, oh yeah, good job, whatever. And then I just remember being like, why is he kicking me so damn hard with freaking like in practice? And like he had to have kicked me so hard through my headgear and his shin guards. Like he must have just like whipped it at me. What a dick. I was so pissed.
Stuff because like sometimes I mean those knockouts happen from just hitting the right spot, but I feel
Yeah.
like you still have to apply a decent amount of force,
Yeah.
harder than I would go in sparring.
Right. Yeah. I would. I don't think I
I
would.
find myself always pulling back on my shots in sparring, honestly, because
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy knocking people out at the gym.
Yeah. Like every once in a while I'll use because my power and my wrestling, because obviously still newer to MMA. Not new, but newer. And so it's not like I'm as elite of a striker, but every once in a while, somebody will hit you hard and you have to hit them back as hard or like a little bit harder just to either give them the message that we're going to now fight or hey, you need to tone it down. Like there's a couple messages that you can send with hitting like smoking somebody in the face after they hit you.
Yeah.
And so I've had to do that, but I don't think I've ever even come close to knocking someone out. And I remember we were doing kickboxing sparring, and I was like, this guy, like, if we were doing MMA sparring, I would have taken him down and like choked him out. But he took advantage of the fact that we were doing kickboxing sparring. It made me so mad. It's like, why are you knocking me out?
Yeah, that would make me mad too. I mean, I've had a couple people tell me I slightly rocked them before.
Yeah.
But I think it was mainly because I hit them in a good spot and
Mhm.
not because I was like throwing full power.
Yeah.
But like me and Gio were sparring right before my last fight,
Mhm.
and it was like my last hard spar before the fight.
Yeah.
And it was like the 5th round of my second time sparring that day. So I did like
Yeah.
over 10 rounds that day, basically.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
So you did pro and
I
then
did
Ami?
pro, and then I came back and sparred with the amateurs too.
Gotcha.
And Gio and I in the 5th round were both so damn tired. We just weren't really moving. And have you seen Don Fry? And I forget the Japanese guy's name that he fought. I think it was Japanese or Korean. And they were
Oh,
like
yeah.
holding each other by the back of the head and just hitting each
Yes.
other.
Yes.
That
It
was
looked like
me
a
and
hockey
Gio
fight.
at the end of
Yes.
our 5th
It
round.
looked like
of
a hockey
sparring.
fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was me and him at the end of our 5th round of sparring. We just clinched up and we're just and he said afterwards that he felt rocked from it. But like, yeah, I haven't really had that anyone tell me I've like almost knocked them out really. And I know I'm capable of it. I've done it in fights.
Yeah.
But I just don't attempt to do that.
Yeah, as a practice partner, I don't know if I want that to be my reputation.
Yeah, I could have landed some clean head kicks before too. And like, if I feel them leaning into it and not blocking that,
Yeah.
I slow it down and maybe just barely tap them.
Yeah.
You know, like I think you should have good control of your weapons. You should have good
Right.
control of your arms and legs and
Right.
be able to pull your punches or pull your kicks when you're
Yeah.
going to land clean on your sparring partner. Cause
Yeah.
like, yeah, they need to be hit sometimes, but
Right.
like they don't need to be knocked out. I
Yeah.
think we have
Yeah.
a certain amount of mileage like that our
Yes.
bodies can take
Yes.
and a certain amount of concussions we can
Right.
have before we start just having no chin
Right.
anymore.
Right.
And I don't want to waste mine in practice.
Exactly. Well, you see some of these guys that, you can date back their, when their career started going downhill. And it was like usually a knockout or, something along those lines. And it's like, is that what happened? Or is it a culmination of the fact that, they sparred, 100 times and maybe took like 10 shots like that over that time? And I'm not saying you shouldn't spar, and I'm not saying you shouldn't spar hard, but there's a difference between sparring hard and like testing your chin, which I don't think that you should. I mean, because you can throw fast and pull it back right at the end and not hurt somebody, but you're still getting an accurate indication of how fast that punch is going to land, like where it's going to land, if it would land. If you're going like this, real slow and methodical, obviously that's not going to land. But if you go and then, if you go fast and then pull it right at the end, like, it's going to land, right? It's almost like a moral victory. I don't know. I think some people like get into this, like, now, granted, if somebody hits you hard in practice, it's like, okay, well, every once in a while you've got to go at it and you got to test yourself a little bit. But I think sometimes, your conditioning should come from other aspects of the sport. Your wrestling part of sparring, your wrestling, your jujitsu, your pad work, like your bag work, like some of the other things that you do. If you want to dig at the body, I don't know if throwing at the face in practice, and I could be wrong. I mean, I know guys that do it both ways, right? And they're successful, but I don't know if like testing your chin in practice is the best way to get as good at the sport as possible, or at least have the longevity. Maybe it's good for like 3 years, but then your chin's gone and you can't do anything after that because you can't take a shot by the time it's time for you to, make the big show or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you want to feel what it's like to hit someone with your full power, like save it for a fight or
Yeah.
get it out on the bag. I hit the bag all the time. And like, that's how I know I can hit powerfully. Like, that's how I
Yeah.
learn how to use my power. I don't learn how to use my power when I'm sparring.
Right.
I learn how to be accurate in my sparring and how to be defensively smart in my sparring. But when I'm working my power, it's on the bag.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even think body shots and leg kicks and stuff like should be full blast in sparring.
Yeah.
Some people
yeah.
think like, oh, 100% on the body and legs and like 70% on the head or something. But
Right.
like,
then you can't walk.
yeah, if I've got kicked in the sternum before so bad that like I felt it for weeks.
Yeah. I've had
And
that too.
and like I've gotten kicked in the leg so bad that like I couldn't really train the rest of the week because I
Right.
can barely walk.
Right.
Like that's not gonna benefit me.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
yeah. So
Well,
I don't
yeah.
I think some people, take those things way too far than they should.
Well, and I think there's a difference between getting to a point where you're tired versus getting to a point where you're like compromised and hurt,
Mhm.
And I think some guys, and again, there's different takes on this. And, there's probably guys that are world champions that completely think we're shooting out of our ass. And there's probably guys that are world champions that think, yeah, they're onto something, like there's multiple ways to skin a cat, especially in MMA. Like we teammates with Strickland and he's spar every day. Like he's, go hard once a day. Like that's his
Yeah.
motto.
I
It's
mean,
like,
it's hard to argue with his results for
Right.
sure, but then
Right.
there's people that have those results that don't do that. So
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is like there's other guys like Francis, who's a world champion, and he doesn't spar as hard every day. you
yeah,
know?
well, and if Francis hit people as hard as he could, he wouldn't have any sparring partners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like bottom line.
Or friends. 'Cause
Yeah,
they'd all be
100%.
dead. Everybody. Yeah. But like, and that's the thing is it's like there is multiple ways to skin a cat. And you see like some guys that they don't even spar at all. Like I think Max Holloway like made it famous, like his last few fights, I don't even think he even sparred. Or was it Max Holloway that said
Yeah,
that?
Max Holloway, but then I also heard conflicting things. I heard he does spar, he just doesn't spar hard anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
But then they also guys like I hear a lot of like people that fight Muay Thai in Thailand like don't spar hard.
Yeah.
But they fight every week.
Right.
But when they're sparring, it's like flow sparring.
Mm.
But they have a lot of fights. So that's how they
Oh,
get that out,
yeah. Well, but you got to think too with like MMA is probably the one sport and boxing too, where you have to sacrifice how good you can be for the longevity of your career. Because if you go in and spar hard every day, I think you will get better. I think you'll get as good as you possibly can, but your shelf life is going to be very limited, and you won't get as good as you possibly can to build up those skills for, 10 or 15 years, as opposed to like you maybe get it for 3 because you're compromising your body every day in the practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think getting that hard sparring in, I mean, yeah, it replicates the fight.
Yeah.
The closer you can get to the actual event, the better you will perform in that actual event.
Yeah.
But you can't keep it up all the time because your body just won't hold up.
Yeah. You
Bottom
can't.
line, like
Yeah.
just your body, you have a certain amount of damage you can take probably over your lifetime.
Right.
And especially when you're doing it back to back to back to back to back and not recovering.
Right. Right.
Like it's not sustainable. So
Yeah.
it's about training as hard as you can, but also finding that sustainability
Yeah.
so you can do it for a long period of time.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, you see a guy after a 25-minute fight. Very few guys have the physical ability to go train the next day after a 25-minute fight.
Yeah.
One, you're exhausted, your body's beat up. Like the exhaustion level is not even the worst part. It's like how badly your body's beat up. Your legs jacked up, your knees are hurt. Your face, you got a black eye, like your neck's killing you, your wrists are all like your hands are all messed up. Like you can't. So not only like if you let's say you do that once a week, now you're not able to train, or you're going to compromise your body. Like you're going to tear your knee because your quad is not bearing as much weight as it should be. Like whatever it is, like something is going to happen in practice, and then you're going to be out. And now it's like, was it worth it to miss those 2 weeks of training? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I only fought for 3 minutes this last fight, and I couldn't really train this week because I split my lip and got stitches.
Right.
Like I literally hit the heavy bag yesterday, and I think that was too much. I started to burst my stitches apart.
Oh, really?
From the impact of me hitting the bag, my lip started bleeding.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So I had to tone it down a little bit.
Oh, gosh. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So I in my head, I was thinking when it said no contact, I'm like, okay, so I can't spar. I
Right.
can't really grapple until it heals up because I don't want to get a headbutt or something in the lip.
Right. Right.
I didn't realize the vibration of me hitting the bag was gonna
Split your lip.
split my lip more.
Oh, shoot. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's nuts. I've never even heard of that. Do you wear a mouthpiece when you hit the bag, or do you have to?
I usually do, yeah.
Yeah.
I mainly wear it to replicate like in a fight, I'm breathing with my mouthpiece. So like
Oh, that's a good
I
point.
mainly wear it for that reason.
Okay.
And like I was wearing it, and like it wasn't like terribly bad, but it did just start to bleed a little bit after
Really?
like doing several rounds on the bag.
Yeah.
And I realized I needed to tone down the impact a little bit.
Gotcha. Well, Trent, I got to let you go here, man. But do you, first of all, thank you so much for coming on. Sorry, we got a little bit flustered with all the equipment BS that went on. But do you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to tell the audience?
I just want to say thanks for having me on, Christian. And for anyone listening, give me a follow to watch my MMA journey on Instagram at Trent Miller _MMA.
Yeah.
And also look up Trent Miller MMA on YouTube. Watch my amateur fight I got posted on there. It's a great fight. You won't regret watching it. And
You won't regret watching it.
I'm definitely going to start posting some content on there too. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. And let me know, because obviously you've seen the equipment I have. It's not much, but I can help you out too. And if if you're ever wanting to do like coaching videos or, audio and stuff, and you want to use this space, let me know too, because I can help out.
That'd be awesome.
So awesome, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.